So our first guest is signed on, so we're going to admit him. And as you all know, who follow the show, we have Black Odyssey Media authors as our guests on the show because we partner with them to help promote their authors. And also, we try to have them close to, if not on the day of the book release. So this in this particular, we have two people tonight actually that are Black Odyssey Media authors, and both of them their books came out last Tuesday. So we're close to the book launch time. And our first guest is JC. He's a poet and he's a multi-genre author. And welcome to Black Authors Matter TV. Oh, okay. Let's unmute. I'm sorry. I forgot to ask you to do it. Okay, there we go.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes,
Hey, how y'all doing?
doing great, doing great. So
Doing-
congratulations on your book release.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm
And
nervous.
you were joining us from no need to be nervous because this is like a conversation in your living room or your den or on your patio. This is what this is like. It's not no pressure whatsoever. So where are you joining us from?
I'm Augusta, Georgia.
Oh, okay. Augusta, Georgia. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, your book is called Fall of the Order.
Yes, ma'am.
And did you have a copy of your book with you
I do.
so we can see the cover? Okay. Oh, okay. Now you got me wondering what's through the D? What's
Oh,
what
I guess that is like claws,
Like
claw
that.
marks, like
Okay, okay.
scratches. Yes.
Okay, scratches. Okay. And then
Yes,
the
ma'am.
the gentleman standing up, he's the main
Yeah.
character, we assume. Oh, he
Well,
depicts the main character.
he's something like Men in Black. So not necessarily the main character, but he shows what's going on as far as government stuff.
Oh, okay, okay. All right.
Well,
Well,
this is a
Yes,
little
ma'am.
clandestine. I like it.
yeah,
Mhm.
those kinds of shows are the ones that should I say enjoy the most? Maybe. I like the CIA type shows.
Yeah,
In
me
fact, I
too.
just picked up watching uh three new ones.
Oh.
Lioness, that has Zoe Saldana as the main character. It's in season
Mhm.
two. And
Yes.
then The Agency is a brand new show. That one has Richard Gere and his last name is Wright. The guy from American Fiction, Rhonda.
Jeffrey, right?
Jeffrey Wright. He's
Yeah.
in the
Oh, I like him.
agency. Yeah, he's in the agency. And then the other one is The Day of the Jackal, which is on Peacock. So I'm watching all three of them, and they're in different various stages of like seasons or whatever episodes, but they all are around the CIA type secret agency, that kind of stuff. So is that what your book is about?
Pretty much runs around those corners. Um, it's basically a government organization that kind of rounds up a lot of supernatural, or you say super beings, or people that like have cursed, um, I guess features like, werewolves, vampires and stuff. And what they do is they gather them in this facility to research and to try to figure out how to use them as weapons. And so the main character, which they've had ever since he was a kid, they are trying to learn how to um, control him, to use him as a weapon, and also use like his blood and stuff to try to help cure diseases and stuff. But the problem they're having is controlling him. And every time he gets mad, he gets worse. It's a love story. He has a love interest in the story as well. And things break loose when at one of the points where he get mad, and a lot of people just if I could put it that way. And
Well, you
there's
don't
a
have to give us any spoilers, but
okay.
sounds like an interesting
Yeah,
situation.
sounds like a lot going on. There's a lot of
Yeah,
adventure with it.
Yes. Yeah.
yeah,
I
it
tried
does.
I tried to keep it fast paced and on the thriller side so that, you know what I'm saying, there's never any boring moments to it. So yeah. I've gotten people that already read and text me and talking about they're waking up with nightmares, they love it and all that stuff. So
Oh, they're waking up
I'm,
with
I,
nightmares.
I did my
Well,
job.
but that means it's good. That means,
Oh,
Yes,
that means you
ma'am.
did a good job with description.
Yes, ma'am.
yeah,
So where do you get your ideas and your inspiration? Because this is not an easy genre to write in.
No,
Because if
no.
you're going to write a thriller, you have to write it in such a way where your reader can not only picture it, but they feel like they're experiencing. You want them to look over their shoulder to see what's going
Right.
on if they happen to hear a sound in their house. So how do you tap into that?
Well, I grew up with my great grandfather, and we always sat in front of the TV and we always watched movies like Godzilla, King Kong, Frankenstein, Dracula. And I was that little kid that would sit on his lap or next to him, and we was watch those shows. And I always remember trying to draw those images for him, so to show him, to try to, get his approval and everything. And that
Mhm.
is just something that's been with me for a long time. And even when I started writing like 15, 20 years ago when we was doing, because I started off doing film scripts, where we did like little local shoots. And even though my first book is more of a street and hood book, it always been into me. So after writing, let's say I wrote 7 books dealing with everything from street to espionage to domestic violence. Um, I had decided that I wanted to do a series on books involving the supernatural or folklore. So as I was starting to write my first book, that's where I got my call. And it was like, we want you to, in so many words, sign, Black Odyssey and everything. And I said, well, I'm not writing anything street right now or, anything of that. And I told her what I was writing. And she was like, let's do it. And I submitted what I have. And they was like, keep going. And yeah, so it always been in me. I'm not the type that, I can sit up and I can pretty much write anything, but if I had the option, it will always be something on the supernatural or horror side.
interesting. And you
That's
mentioned some of the movies that my sister and I used to watch scary movies, and we would be in the bed because we shared a room and a bed all of our growing up years. We would be like watching late at night. They used to have on Friday nights, they used to show those scary movies, after a certain time. And we would always be, um, we would put the covers up over like close to our eyes. So when it got
right,
scary, we could put the covers
right,
over.
right.
And but those old movies, they were scary, even though it wasn't high tech. But the music, it was the anticipation and the fact that it was really low tech, which we didn't know any difference at the time, but that
Exactly.
was scarier than all of this blown up stuff that they do, because it was the scariness of the unknown, not knowing what was around the corner, and their music really drove the
Yes,
story.
Yeah,
The
the
scary
music is what
music.
makes you jump.
Yeah,
yes.
and then you would
Sometimes it's not
always,
always on the
yeah,
screen.
Yeah,
yeah. So the movies that you mentioned, we watched them, and we watched several Draculas, several different
yeah, yeah.
Draculas.
The movies back then, there wasn't a lot of like special effects like they have now, where
Right.
you
They
have
were they were low
digital.
tech.
So
Right.
you had to basically you basically had to rely on the characters and the storyline itself. These days, everything is more like you have digital edits to put in, special effects. CG, and so it's a little different now. I mean, it looks better, but it's almost
Yeah,
like when you comparing the development of the story back then. You had to rely more on the story content than the actual visual.
right. You did. You had to rely on the script and the characters and that
Yeah,
music. That's really all. The only tech you had was really music because
Right.
they didn't do much camera work. Really, it was
mm,
very basic. It was,
yeah,
but it was scary as all get out. I mean, we used to love to watch them. And then when we would have to get up later on that night to go to the bathroom, you you're looking around, creeping, looking around the corner, not
yeah.
knowing what's there. Um, but my sister and I talk about that now. I mean, decades later, that we really loved watching them, even though they scared us. But we
Yeah,
really like what I don't like the new horror stuff. I don't even watch it because it's too graphic. It's too like
right.
heads exploding, and it's too much. It's not
Yeah,
enough of an element of surprise, really. It's just more
right.
gore. It's like you just overwhelm them with how gory it is. But it's all about how what you saw that caught your attention as a young person, and then you kind of go from there with what you
Mm,
like, you know.
yes,
Um,
man.
but I like the what you said about wanting to expand beyond what you were doing before. Like not
Yes, man.
you talked about not writing in just one genre. You told them when they contacted you that you weren't writing anything street, and they were
Right.
open to what you were
Yes,
doing.
yes, and that was the beauty of it. And even though I'm working on a sequel to this, if God's given and they continue to keep me on the roster, even the next book I have has nothing to do with horror at all. It's going in a complete different direction. And the scary part for me on that front is I don't know how that's going to affect my followers, the people that follow me and read my books, because they'll be looking for me, they'll fall in love with one type of genre that I write, but then I come out with something else totally, and then they'll be disappointed. That's the
Well, you
only
you'll just have
scary
sets.
part about
You'll
it.
just have sets of author. I mean, excuse me, sets of followers. There are going to be people who follow one genre that you write. There's going to be people who follow
Mhm.
another genre. And as long as you don't leave those people hanging, see that's the danger. Because if
Right,
you're going to be a multi-genre author, you can't just give them one book and tell them they need to be satisfied. You're going to
right,
have to
okay,
write multiple
okay,
books in those genres because you're going to have to satiate all of those different audiences that you've built.
yes,
So it's
ma'am.
not impossible, but it is a challenge.
Yes, ma'am. I have so many ideas on stories, and so many that sometimes I like. Even this the last book, Follow the Order, I had to incorporate some ideas in as like background stories to help, help, complex the story. But I have so many ideas. It ain't funny.
So how do you keep track of all of your ideas?
Oh, they just stay in my head. Sometimes, like if an idea come across that I really know I want to invest in the future, I'll write it down. I write it down in a tablet and put it aside. And as more ideas come to my head, I'll go back in there and I'll write a little note under it. Because the thing about me, even though it's in my head, sometimes I can forget, and I'd be like, oh, what was it that I was thinking that I really wanted to add? So if I don't write it down then, you know, it may come back later as I write, but if I write it down, then when I get ready to go back to that story, I have my note right there. I can say, okay, let me get started. So that's pretty much how it is. I even have a little note thing in my phone where if I'm out and about and an idea come, I just jot it down. But usually those ideas are more like ideas to add to a story that I already have thought about. So it's
Mhm.
just something to keep, I guess like a little outline of stuff that I want to remember. But
Well, a
as
lot of
far as
authors
this,
use that note feature on the on your cell phone. I use it
mhm,
for story ideas or concepts or characters or scenes, you know,
right,
scenarios. So because you're right about that, an idea may come, or you might see somebody in your when you're out and about. Like for one character from my book, I saw somebody in an airport that I thought was a great look
Right.
for the character that I was creating. So
Gotcha.
the description of the character I got from a person that I saw that looked like the character that I was writing.
And
So
some people do that, and I've seen some people take magazines and they kind of cut them up. And when they see a person, when they see somebody in a magazine or a book or something that looks like the character,
Right.
they'll cut that person out of the magazine and they'll make kind of almost like a lookbook.
Right.
oh,
Yes,
or
ma'am.
like kind of like a sort of scrapbook in a way.
Yeah, almost like a scrapbook. You
But
take that way when you get describe that character, you always have that picture to refer back to.
I hadn't heard about people doing that. But it's all kinds of ways to develop stories and maintain stories and come up with ideas for
I like
books.
to use a character profile. I like to actually write out my characters and I write out everything about them, their age, their weight, any habits they have. And I'll make a whole list of my characters with all of those traits. And so that way I can refer to that when it's time to describe my character or when I want to refer to a habit that they might have that will help to move the story along. I put all of
That's,
that in that list and that helps me out.
yeah,
Now,
I
did you
just
stick
started that.
to that?
I'm sorry.
Did you stick to that? Like once you start writing?
Well, because when I do it before I start writing, the characters are in my head now. So even if I don't look back at that list, there's because I've done that, they're in my head. But yeah,
Okay.
it helps me out if I need to refer to something like maybe I forgot something, maybe I forgot how old a character is, or I forgot what color their eyes are, or something like that. I can go back to it. It's a
I've
Okay.
st-
Okay.
and
I,
you
st-
know,
I
keep them.
st- yeah, I started doing that for this, right? I actually went online and found a PDF to download that I can keep up with those things that you were talking about. And I've had to actually go back and thinking of the same things you were saying with the color eyes, the height, the skin tone. I always had to, so it was helpful when I filled it out, I can go back and say, okay, yeah, she has light brown eyes. And I'm thinking all the time as I was writing it, I want to say dark brown. So it going back to those notes really helped.
Yes.
See, now for me, when I write fiction, which is not my well, I'm multi-genre too. So I got fiction, I got nonfiction, I got children's, I got self-help. But when I'm writing, a character will come to me that's not predetermined. So and I just like on the fly while I'm writing a certain scene, then, for example, if somebody is going to an office to meet someone, then you say, okay, it has to be a receptionist or a secretary or somebody there. So then that's a character that I didn't even think about at first, but once I'm writing, then I have to think about, well, how does that person look? How do I want to describe it? And you can create some really comical. I try to make some of them a little comical. The descriptions, let's say she had a bad wig on, or, she's something, something like that to just make the reader laugh out loud, even though it's a novel. You do want to have a few laugh out loud moments in there,
Yes,
you
definitely,
know.
definitely. Yeah, I try to use my dialogue for the laugh out moments, but every now and
Okay.
then I have a character do something that's just so over the top that it's just silly. You just have to laugh about it. But I definitely understand that.
Well, sometimes real life can be funnier than fiction. So
It can. And when people describe different things that happen, I said, you know what? That scene needs to be in my next novel because that is just too good to not put in a book. So something I heard about something last week on Thanksgiving Day, actually, when family was over, And one of the family members described something. I said that I have to put that in my next novel, which I got to figure out now how to work it in. But it's just so good, it has to be in the book. So what are you doing? What's your next project? And are you with Black Odyssey? Did you do a 1 book deal, a 2 book deal, or a 3 book deal?
Well, I recently signed another contract for the sequel. So I'm finishing that up and going to get that turned in sometimes by the end of this weekend.
Oh,
After
okay.
that, yeah, hopefully, and everyone I've done has been a 1 book deal. So hopefully, you know, they'll have me back and I can show them a different style of my writing for the upcoming season or whatever.
So you
So
say
I'm
you're working on the sequel for this book.
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so it's going to be another suspense.
It's oh yeah, it's just a little more less gritty and a little more fast paced. It's going to involve a lot of it's a little more action driven, but still the same concept with the same I say creatures for the benefit of not giving too much away.
Mhm.
Creatures and bad guys and I don't write heroes. I always write anti-heroes. So and anti-heroes and their situations and stuff. But yeah,
Well, I like a good complicated character. I don't
Hmm.
like
Yeah,
characters.
yeah. Because
yeah, I
people are
was
complicated.
yeah, yeah.
So,
It is. But I'm the, for the people that have started reading and the feedback I've gotten from people, like I had a guy text me this morning telling me he cursing me out because he had nightmares about one of the creatures in there, and then he was like, "Man, I'm loving it," and and I just told him I appreciate it, and he said that he had a few more chapters to go, and then he'll hopefully he'll write me a good review. So
well, well, I, now I'm scared to read the book if it's gonna give me nightmares. I don't, I don't want to have any nightmares. But I think it's great that you're writing in the particular genre. The horror genre is a growing genre among Black writers. I'm finding more and more. We've had several of them on the
Horror
show.
and fantasy.
Yes, yes, both of those.
yeah,
And
it could be a fact that there are so many other genres out, like your street lits, your contemporary. That I think that a lot of people is trying to try stuff different. I know I am. So
because they're kind
Mm.
of saturated.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So you
So
can get like a black author with a lead black role, because that was the deal that I had struck with Black Odyssey. As long as the main character was black, then I can write whatever I need to. So
Well,
so yeah.
how did you come upon Black Odyssey? How did you decide that this is where you wanted to go?
Well, I've been self-published for like my last 7 books. I had a couple of offers, but I never really signed. I will take this back. My first book had 2 publishing companies, but there was the kind that you pay to publish a book. I think it's called what is called print the I can't remember. I always get the
On
name
demand.
print on
confused.
demand or boutique
Yeah, print
publishers.
the man. Yes, yes. And I paid someone to put it out, and I learned so much from that. Oh my goodness! And it to the point where I said, "Well, I'm just going to self-publish my other books." I ended up doing a 2 books with Arthur Untamed. We wrote 2 books together called The Contract,
Yeah.
and did very well. And then after that, about a year later, I was offered, what I'm saying, what I was working on, and if I was interested in signing. I was like, absolutely, because she was involved. I knew that it would be the right move. So
Okay.
that's how I started.
Okay. Well, Rhonda put your website in the chat so people can know how to get your books. And show us your cover one more time. so people can see Fall of the Order. And so when they go to order it, they know what the cover looks like. And that looks like a moon back there with like a blood
Yes,
moon back
ma'am.
in.
Yeah,
Okay, all
yeah,
right, yeah. It looks great.
yeah.
Okay,
And for
well, JC, congratulations on your book release, and we'll be looking for more from you in the future.
I appreciate it. I enjoyed talking with y'all, and hopefully, y'all have me back soon.
Oh, anytime, just say the word.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you. Have a
have a great
wonderful day.
night.
All right, y'all be easy. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.